Hello, friends. We are here to understand one day at a time. Yes, we are studying live in day tight compartments. Yes, as I remembered what the doctor had told me, one grain of sand at a time, one task at a time. By repeating those words to myself over and over, I accomplished my task in more efficient manner, and I did my work without the confused and jumbled feeling that had almost wrecked me on the battlefield. One of the most appealing comments on our present way of life is that half of all the beds in our hospitals are reserved for patients with nervous and mental troubles, patients who have collapsed under the crushing burden of accumulated yesterdays and fearful tomorrows. Okay? Yet, a vast majority of these people, of those people, would be walking the streets today, leading happy, useful lives if they had only heeded the words of Jesus. Have no anxiety about the morrow. Yes, or the words of Sir William Osler, live in day tight compartments. Okay, live in day tight compartments, which also has to say that we have to take one day at a time, and also it has to say we have to think of not we do not have to think about tomorrow, but of today, of our daily bread. You and I are standing this very second at the meeting place of two eternities, the vast past that had endured forever, and the future that is plunging on to the last syllabi of recorded time. We can't possibly live in either of those eternities. No, not even for one split second. But by trying to do so, we can wreck both our bodies and our minds. So, to do so, we can wreck both our bodies and minds. So, let's be content to live the only one time we can possibly live. Only one time we can possibly live. Okay? Yes. And from now until bedtime, anyone can carry his burden, however hard, and until nightfall, wrote Robert Louis Stevenson. Anyone can do his work, however hard, for one day. Anyone can live sweetly, patiently, lovingly. Yes, purely. Yes, lovingly, purely, till the sun goes down. And this is all that life really means. Okay? Yes, that is all that life requires. Yes, of us. Yes, but Mrs. B.K. Shields, 815 Court Street, Saginaw, Michigan, was driven, yes, to despair, even to the brink of suicide, before she learned to live just till bedtime. In 1937, I lost my husband, Mrs. Shields said as she told me her story. I was very depressed and almost penniless. I wrote my former employer, Mr. Leon Roach, of the Roach Fowler Company of Kansas City and got my old job back. I had formerly made my living selling the world books to rural and town school boards. I had sold my car 2 years previously when my husband became ill. But I managed to scrape together enough money to put down payment on a used car and started out to sell books again. I had thought, yes, that getting back on the road would help relieve my depression. But driving alone and eating alone, driving alone and eating alone was almost more than I could take. Some of the territory was not very productive. Yes, and I found it hard to make those car payments, small as they were. In the spring of 1938, I was working out of Versailles, Missouri, and the schools were poor, the roads bad. I was so lonely and discouraged that at one time I even considered suicide. Yes, it seemed that success was impossible. I had nothing to live for. I dreaded getting up each morning and facing life. I was almost afraid of everything, afraid I would not meet the car payments. Yes, and afraid I could not pay my room rent, afraid I would not have enough to eat. I was afraid my health was failing and I had no money for a doctor. All that kept me from suicide were the thoughts that my sister, yes, would be deeply grieved, and that I did not have enough money to pay my funeral expenses. Then one day I read an article that lifted me out of my despondence and gave me the courage to go on living. I shall never cease, yes, to be grateful for one inspiring sentence in that article. Yes, it said, the article the article said, listen carefully. Every day is a new life to a wise man. Yes, every day is a new life to wise man. I typed that sentence, and pasted it on the windshield of my car. Yes, where I saw it every minute I was driving. I found it wasn't so hard to live only one day at a time. Live one day at a time. I learned to forget the yesterdays and to not think of the tomorrows. Each morning, I said to myself, today is a new life. Yes, today is a new life. I have succeeded in overcoming my fear of loneliness, my fear of want. I'm happy and fairly successful now and have a lot of enthusiasm and love for life. I know how I shall never again be afraid, regardless of what life hands me. I know now that I don't have to fear the future. I know now that I can live one day at a time, and that every day is a new life to a wise man. Why do you suppose? Who do you suppose wrote these verses? Happy the man, and happy he alone, he who can call today his own, he who secures within can say, tomorrow do thy worst, for I have lived today. Okay, friends, be encouraged, do not quit in life. Love you all. Take good care of yourself. See you again tomorrow. Till then, bye bye. Love you. Bye.